What is up, everybody? I'm Nico. Today we're going to get back to the Boomers and Zoomers Guide to Audio Recording. Today we're talking about digital audio workstations and how you can use your interface and microphone to record audio professionally. One of the last things you're going to need before you could start recording audio is a digital audio workstation. A digital audio workstation is an application software used for recording, editing, and producing audio files. Not exclusively audio files though. You can now record MIDI instruments in digital audio workstations so that you can make music too. In the world of popular DAWs, I think the industry standard lately has been Logic Pro. It's by Apple, and its ease of use, affordability, and just clean interface make it one of the best digital audio workstations to record audio and MIDI. We're going to be using Logic Pro for all of our demonstrations, but if you learn Logic, you'll be able to learn the other popular DAWs as well. The industry standard for studio work and very professional audio recording is Avid's Pro Tools. Pro Tools is the most expensive DAW on this list, sometimes ranging around $1,000 to use. It's typically known for its ease of use in audio recording and most similar to the studio environment. Popular for decades in the electronic world is the DAW Ableton. Ableton is really useful for the electronic sequencing of MIDI tracks and using electronic instruments, not so much known for its audio recording, but you can do both in Ableton. In the world of hip-hop and rap, a name that's always floated around was Fruity Loops, which became FL Studio. FL Studio is known specifically for its beat sequencing. And finally, one of the last popular DAWs on our list is Reason by Propellerhead. I would check out videos from all of these before you end up purchasing one, but because we're going to be using Logic today, and because it's the easiest, I recommend looking to purchase Logic first. It's only around $200, and it is a perfect intro into the music industry. The free DAWs, if you're looking to spend no money and get your recording done, I would start with the open source software Audacity. Audacity is the quickest way to get a recording done, and it's strictly for audio recording. If you're looking to record more music and maybe start sequencing MIDI, I'd look into Apple's GarageBand. This is only available on Mac devices, and it's free for anybody who purchases a Mac device. GarageBand is like the baby of Logic, so if you learn GarageBand, you'll be able to jump into Logic easily. If you're interested in recording music with some audio tracks, I'd look into Cakewalk as well. The future of DAWs is going online. Just like you'd log into Facebook or Netflix or Instagram, you can now log in to BandLab. BandLab performs the functions of a DAW, but all by logging in online. And last but not least, there is Traction. Like I said with the popular DAWs, almost all of them perform the same functions, maybe with one more or one less feature. I would say start with free DAWs before you purchase any premium DAWs. Assuming that all DAWs do pretty much the same thing, it's safe to say that they're going to have a lot of the same buttons, appearances, and different interfaces. Logic Pro actually looks quite complex at first, but there's a few components that everybody needs to know before they can start recording. It starts with their tracks and arrange area. It's a grid, just like you'd read any sheet music with measures 1 to 100 or whatever it is. They list your tracks from left to right, and that's the length of the song or the audio recording. So up in the top where there's all those numbers, 1, 9, 17, 25, that's counting how many measures of audio recording you're using. Now all of those tracks below it, like the green and the blue and the yellow, are tracks of MIDI data or audio data. Anytime you record MIDI or audio, the track will appear here, and any data it collects will track along the lines of a measure. In order to set where you want to start recording, you'll have to use the controls at the top. The controls will trigger certain events on the screen, or open different windows that you can use to enhance your recording. If you want to select a MIDI instrument or add some effects to your audio track, you can use the library. Logic's library will change for the instrument you're trying to record. If you want to record audio, different audio templates will appear, which will try to make your audio recording sound the best based on what you're aiming for. As you add instruments, they will appear in the Instruments and Inputs tab. In order to record that instrument or input, you'll have to select the track you want to record. Once you select that track, it will appear here in the channel. Plugins and effects will also appear. In Logic, the mixer view looks quite complex as well. The channel strip levels appear at the bottom, which looks like a traditional studio, right? You can move those fader knobs up and down to achieve more volume or less volume. The dials above it are their pan. The dials above those faders are considered the pan dials. You can move the pan dial left, right, or center to select where your audio will appear in the stereo field. Above the pan dials are all of your plugins and effects. This is probably the easiest place to look at all of your effects in one place and edit them separately. And finally, you have your inputs on top. You won't find a view like this in Ableton, but in Pro Tools, this is the main view. So now that we're in the Logic Pro main window, we'll want to add an audio track. You can do that by pressing the plus button and then selecting the track that you want. Your screen might not look the same as mine, as I have advanced mode turned on, but you can always go into the preferences of Logic and make sure you pick the desired look that you want. I'm going to select audio instrument, and that's where I'm going to make sure that my device is plugged in. If you have an audio interface, you'll want to make sure you click this and select an output and input device depending on how you want to record and how you want to hear your audio. I have the Scarlett 18i8 USB audio interface, so I'm going to make sure that is selected, and then I can select my input depending on which one my mic is plugged in. My mic is plugged into input 1, so I'll select input 1 and create a track for input 1. Now you'll notice that it's already recording. I'm receiving a signal because my mic is plugged in correctly, and I've set the gain of recording the mic to a proper volume. Let's first focus on the Inputs tab here, and we can actually rename our tracks by double-clicking, and let's just call this one Microphone. Below the track title are 4 buttons. There is a Mute, Solo, Record Enabled button, and Input button. The Mute button will mute anything recorded in the track ahead. The Solo button will actually mute every other track around it. If we're ready to record one track, we must make sure that the Record Enabled button is enabled. You'll know you're ready to record when the button starts flashing red. And finally, only if you have headphones can you actually monitor your input. So if you want to hear yourself through your headphones as you record, you would keep this on. If you didn't need to hear any input monitoring, you would turn it off. You have your level here as well as your pan for left and right. Before we start recording, we'll want to focus on the control bar at the top. In the center, we have all of the information about our current recording or project. This will tell us the tempo, the time signature, and how we're subdividing. It will also tell you the length of your project. To the left of this is all of the controls. Buttons like play, stop, and record will control what happens in the track area. When I press play, you'll notice this white bar going across the screen. We call that the playhead. This tells us where we are in the project and what's currently playing at that time. I can stop the playhead by pressing stop and then return it to the beginning by pressing once more. If you want to start recording or move to a different part of your project, you can use this area above the tracks area to select where you want to start. Just by tapping, you'll be able to move the playhead. So assuming we want to start with a simple recording, we'll want to make sure that the record enabled is on. If we want input monitoring, we can turn that on as well. And then we'll press record. If we're recording to another audio track like a song or a backing track, for example, we can make sure we have some time to prepare or jump in front of the mic. That would be the count in button. We can turn this on to make sure we have a measure of count in, and if you press and hold it, you can actually select how many measures will click before you start recording. If you want to hear a metronome through your recording or to keep in time, you can just tap this metronome button. It will play a metronome throughout your whole entire recording. You can set the tempo in the middle here by dragging up or down. In this case, I'm just recording audio, so I'm going to turn off the count in and turn off the metronome. And this means when I press record, it's going to automatically start recording. This is a test recording. You'll see that the sound waves are actually appearing in the tracks area. In order to stop the recording, all I have to do is press stop. And now the track has appeared in our project. I can move this track anywhere along the project lines, or if I even want to move it to another track, I can do so. The different recordings you add to a track are called regions. So this right here is considered one region. When you double click on a region, it will appear in the edit window below. Here you can clearly see where the audio starts and stops. So if we wanted to cut off that silence in the beginning and maybe at the end, all we'd have to do is move our playhead to the areas where the audio stops and starts. A lot of professional audio producers will say to learn your keyboard shortcuts so you can make things happen a lot faster and easier. Keyboard shortcuts are combinations you can press on the keyboard to make things happen. I'm going to teach you one right now, and it's the cut function. You can cut regions by simply pressing the command button and the T button. So we can do that again by dragging the playhead maybe to the end where the silence begins again, pressing Command T, and now we have 3 different sections that we can edit. If you want to remove a section, make sure that region is selected, so you'll see that it's highlighted above. It's also highlighted down here. I can press backspace and it disappears. Let's go back to the front by selecting that region and also removing it. Now we've removed the silence at the beginning and the silence at the end of our region. As I mentioned before, one of Logic's coolest features are its templates. These are preset channel strips that have plugins and effects that make your audio recording sound the best, depending on what you're trying to record. We can access those presets by going to the top left and clicking on the library button. Now we have different patches and channel strip options that allow us to maybe change our voice to sound like a narration or a natural vocal, depending on what you want. If it sounds good and I'm ready to bounce it, or in other words, I'm ready to take that audio and complete it, make it a new audio file, I'm done editing, I can now go down to the bottom left and select bounce. If you're looking to get a quick audio recording bounced and sent, I would select MP3 and then select OK, and it will bounce your audio file somewhere on your computer. If you're recording high quality audio, you might want to use PCM, which allows you to record in WAV format, which is the highest quality, highest size file. It contains the most data about your audio recording. It doesn't use any compression. Honestly, I can go on for months about different digital audio workstation features, but to keep things simple for the boomers and zoomers guide, today I taught you how to record an audio track using a digital audio workstation. The same process we went through in Logic is going to be used even in Pro Tools and Ableton. The process we just went through here on Logic is going to be the same in Pro Tools, Ableton, Reason, or FL Studio. Record enable the track, press record, and it will appear in your tracks area. If you're unsure how to use it in your specific DAW, I recommend using YouTube here as a tool where all you have to do is search how to record in Cubase, or Cakewalk, or GarageBand. Once again, I recommend you check out any of our past videos, which talks about microphones and audio interfaces. Those are kind of the gateways to using a digital audio workstation. And as always, if you have any recordings you'd like to share with us, please link them down in the comments below. I'm so excited to hear what you've recorded. Thanks for watching, and I hope I've helped you in your recording journey.